What reproductive rights do men have?
0.
I feel like, well, I don't know, maybe you guys can answer this. I feel like a lot of the time when a girl gets pregnant, and it's because a lot of guys are like, accidentally get their situationships pregnant, they'll say to the girl, can you get an abortion? I don't want this. Or they'll be cheating on their wife and get an abortion. All of those things. So I feel like you're saying it's not fair that that a woman can get an abortion, but when I feel like in the UK, the majority of the time it's the man that wants to have an abortion.
So
how is it an accident when women know when we're ovulating and women can choose whether or not to be on birth control?
Most women don't know when they're ovulating because most women don't have trackers and they're not always reliable either.
But wouldn't that put the power in women's hand? Like you can get an IUD that's 99% effective. You can take a Plan B. You can do the pills. You can do the thing in your arm.
But that's all things that modify your body. They're all adding hormones. A lot of people get really bad side effects from using those forms of contraception.
You can require that the men that you sleep with wear a condom.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a requirement.
But then the man should also be wearing a
but I'm saying like women have all the power in this situation, and if it doesn't work out, we can go get an abortion. So what reproductive rights do men have?
Using a condom.
That's it.
That's not right.
So I'm saying it's not even. It's not equal.
So did you listen to how many things Pearl listed, and how many reasons you had as to why that wasn't viable? So it's like you've got the IUD. No, don't want that, hormones. Okay, so you've got 41 types of birth control.
They're all the same thing in different forms, basically.
So you've got 41 ways. Then you have
There's
the
hormones on the copper one. I'm just gonna.
Then you have the morning after pill, right? And then you have the right, after negating all of those things, to just say to the guy, child support time.
But when they came out, when they were doing new, like they're doing research at the moment for male contraception that included like a tablet and also a gel. A lot of men, like if you went to social media and looked at the post, men were like, I'm not taking tablets. Imagine a girl tells me to take my birth control pill.
The same way way you just did when we brought up birth control. Like the same way.
But that's the known side effects. We haven't spoken about the side effects, but they were taking the mick out of it. Girls don't take the mick out of it.
But I'm saying like I just brought this up now, and your first response was, but the side effects. So kind of the same way.
But we don't know the side effects of the men's one. We don't even know if it's a hormone thing or what.
Okay, but you see the double like you just did the same thing.
Let's say I'll take the pill.
I genuinely don't see it.
Let's say I'll take the pill. I'll take the pill.
Mm-hmm.
You're barely willing to deal with my BS just as it is. Would you be able to deal with my BS if my hormones went out of whack?
You be a woman, mate.
This just goes down to a pure lack of accountability. I think women should be more aware, if they're not already, that they are the gatekeepers of every single child.
100%.
Vast majority of the time, for the very few exceptions that I'm not going to mention for the algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
They are the gatekeepers for every child they bear. So this just goes down purely to accountability of who the men they are choosing and the foundation that they want to bring a child into this world. The reason why we live in this society is because women are refusing to take accountability, feminism is on the rise, and marriage is on the decline. If every woman bound together and said, we are not having sex unless you get married, what do you think men are going to do? They are going to the shop to get a ring. They are the gatekeepers of sex. They are the gatekeepers of children to bear in this society. So we can talk as much and make as many excuses till kingdom come. Unless women take accountability for the mistakes that do happen, it's not going to change.
But marriage isn't even the way forward anymore because women leave.
Women leave. They do leave.
The majority of the time.
But again, I've got my own view on marriage. I am myself. But I would always advocate when it comes speaking on the subject of fatherhood for men to get their stuff together. Men have to get their stuff together to be the type of women, because hypergamy is on the rise. So
hypergamy is normal.
On the rise.
It's on the rise. Women want more. The criteria for
that
a man
shit is here right now.
The criteria for a man is getting less and less and less. This is the reason why women refuse to settle. You get a woman in her 40s, she could have settled in her 20s, but she's looking for Superman and Clark Kent at the same time. That man don't exist.
You know, there's a book, there's a Stanford University neurobiologist and neuroscientist called Robert Sapolsky. He wrote 2 books, he wrote many, but Behave and Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. If you read these books, it will tell you where life starts and why life starts at conception. it goes intricate details into DNA, neuroscience, neurotransmitters. The lot. Look, I'm not even a neuroscientist. I barely got any education. I read this book because I understand it.
Right.
It explains me how I'm going to treat my child when he grows up, because it talks to you about child development and male and female aggressions. It's intricate details about our existence from scientific perspective. And if you read it, it's informative.
Do you know women are more likely to be violent towards their children than men?
Yeah, my mum beat me up all the time.
I can believe that.
Yeah, I mean,
I because flashbacks to my mum straight away.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
But do you know why?
know
Because I think that's because men, with your father, they had the threat of violence and you really have to do it.
Yeah. I remember my dad just looking at me.
Yeah.
There is a big difference between my mum and dad looking at me.
Pearl had a flashback there.
I'm used to hit me with the wooden spoon.
We gotta be real with ourselves. Yeah, there is such an aura of a man. Yeah, that they don't even need to speak to command respect from children. When I did something wrong, my mum didn't even need to say. She just said, "I'm gonna tell your dad." And me and my brothers fixed up. I remember the first time I ever got arrested. The beating I received made sure I never did that again. So there is an authority figure in a male that cannot be exchanged for a woman. There is a way a man raises children with authority and in love that cannot be exchanged. So I see why we're like this. I see why society's been like this. I see why women are like this. Even on the point of, I know I touch a lot on the boys, but I can speak for from a female perspective. The first man a woman learns to love and submit to is her father.
He's her dad, yeah.
It's her father. Because he's the only man who can look at your daughter's eyes, give you everything you want, and not want anything in return. He's the only man who will not take anything back in return in pure love. So unless you have a good understanding of how to love a man and how a man should love you, you have no blueprint for love.
So what, do you think monogamy is the way forward?
Monogamy, yeah. I'm a Christian, so I have a traditional mindset, but I also know the type of men, the type of men want to be. It may not be consistent with their worldview, but from my personal worldview, yeah. In terms of the fabric of society, it starts at home.
So I'm interested because obviously you practice polygamy, right?
I'm in a monogamous relationship now, but by nature I am polygamous. Yeah.
How would it be raising a child in that type of environment? Would you say?
The only reason I can afford to be polygamous is because I don't believe in marriage. Left and right, I've seen marriages fall apart, and I don't want to be a part of it. I'm scared of it. I'm scared of what I could lose. And because of that, and I'm also like the type of guy that needs a lot of attention, needs a lot of affection. One person, it's very hard for one person to give me all that because they get suffocated. So I don't think I'm the best example to throw in there, but I do believe that a proper family where kids are being raised should be monogamous.
So what about you? Your point of view?
What on what
monogamy?
I think monogamy is the way forward.
Yeah.
I grew up in a home where monogamy, I've seen society deteriorate as marriage breaks down.
Yeah.
So the more single parent homes there are, the more problems we start to see in society by and large. And I've seen it. I grew up in an estate where we all grew up in the same environment, but the only difference for me in regards to them was the fact that I had two people there and I didn't, because I always had that deterrent.
Same.
There was always, if this goes a step too far, I don't have to deal with what I've got at home.